Hi, my name is Jessie Golden, and this is The Golden Secrets. Today's guest is an ex-con who received a 60-year prison sentence at the age of 16 and went on to win the first UFC middleweight championship. He has advised on over $4.5 billion in assets. He is a proud father, a proud husband. He's an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, and I am proud to call him one of my pluses, the legend himself, Frank Shamrock.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited you're here today.
Me too.
Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, absolutely.
And I'm hoping you'll share a little bit today when I say you're my plus. You have this whole concept that you call the warrior code, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a plus minus equal concept, right? Which we'll get into, but the first time I met you was we got to do a retreat together with our dear friend Jesse Itzler, and I was so compelled and amazed by your story. It just really struck a chord with me and affected me, and I feel like I've been sharing your story with so many people since then, so I'm so excited to have you here today so you can share a little bit about it today.
Cool. Yeah,
so I mean the intro is a little dramatic.
It's an awesome intro.
Awesome intro.
But that's been my life. It's been like that for a long time and still happens like that. But I think a lot of it is this warrior's code that I'm living, and it is this system that keeps putting me into places that allow me to do and try and experiment with amazing things and do things like this and like Jesse, and I jumped out of airplanes last year, and there's just so much that that simple system has brought me in my life. But my life has been hard. I mean, I left home when I was 11 years old. I became a ward of the state when I was 12, and by the time I was 18, I was looking at a lot of time in prison, and it was only by the grace of God and martial arts and people that put me on the right path.
Yeah. So will you go back, because you're also a survivor of childhood abuse, right? And that's kind of what steered you into this direction of creating all these crimes because you wanted to get out of your house, kind of?
Yeah, I had thought I'd discovered the gold mine of caring for myself, and that was crime. And it all happened organically. When I was 11, I threw rocks at a train, which is a felony in the state of California, and I went to juvenile hall for the very first time. And I hung out with my peers, the bad kids. And it was the first time I was around people that I could communicate with that were just like me, the troubled kids. And I was asking them, how do you deal with this locking in the closet thing?
Because your mother,
my mom used to lock me in the closet.
Which
and
is insane.
Yeah, I became aware that my lifestyle, my punishment, my family was off when I was 11. And I was asking the bad kids, how do you deal with it? And they were like, dude, that ain't right.
That's not
normal. It's not normal, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know until that time that my emotional issues and a lot of what was going on with me socially, my inability to communicate was from what was happening to me from my punishments and from my childhood. And then when I went and saw my counselor at juvenile hall, she was very poignant and said, listen, if you keep doing this, they'll take you from your home. And I was like, bingo.
Perfect.
I know what to do. So I full on committed myself to a life of crime to escape my childhood, and it worked.
That's what made sense at that time.
It made perfect sense. It worked for a number of years until I actually got married, and then I had my son. I became an adult, and once I accepted legal status as an adult, then when the crimes came down, then they treated me as an adult.
Wow. So one of the other things too, when I heard you speak, which if you ever get an opportunity to hear him speak, you guys absolutely have to, was I remember you said something about when you were in the closet and you would get out, I think it was your stepdad would watch boxing, or
yes.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we didn't have a TV in our house. So TV was only in the parents' room, and it was only on a special night. And so the only TV I saw as a kid was boxing. It was championship boxing. My stepdad Joe would watch championship boxing on a Friday, Saturday night after work, because he was an appliance repairman. He'd be all tired. I would massage his feet and I would watch boxing.
Wow.
And it was the only experience I had outside of books and outside of school. So that was that was the thing. That was, the champion had the belt and they gave the speech and everyone, there was that
outlet.
That guy was
Yeah.
the guy I wanted to be when I was in that closet, as a kid, and it just became, it became my dream. That was my dream. That's what I dreamt about when I was in there, and I was, sad, and I was just like crushed. And I was like, it's okay, because someday I'm gonna be that guy. And so
Wow.
that's what
That's
else
so amazing that that's the seed that was planted for you to eventually become the champ. So how much time did you actually serve then?
I did.
Because
Oh
the
my God.
60-year sentence, I was
I
like,
did 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what had happened is, I'd amassed, 8 felonies as a child, another 20 by the time I was 17. I mean, it was just too much. And so, I was the front page of the newspaper. I was dating the DA's daughter. Like, everything wrong was wrong.
Oh
So
my
they were like, we just got to get rid of Frank. So I
Yeah.
just took this giant plea bargain that kind of flushed everything, and ended up being 6 years in youth prison.
Okay.
And then it was in youth prison where I kind of woke up and I was like, well, I can't care for my son. I'm just like my dad. Like, I'm a total loser. Like, I've completely messed up my life. And it was in youth prison that I was like, I'm going to change my life.
There was a shift.
Yeah, I knew because everyone told me, everyone was telling me, listen, you can't keep doing that. And I was like, you don't understand. Crime works. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm safe. So it wasn't until it all came true and everybody was right. And then I was like, oh my God, I've screwed my life up. And then I had to reverse it. And that's what took the real work. I was 17 and a half sitting in youth prison, and I was like, I got to change my life. I got to fix it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember you tell this story, which is one of my favorite stories, and you just shared a picture a couple weeks ago on Instagram. You were working out a lot in prison, you were
Yeah.
getting super fit, and your stepfather,
Yeah.
Shamrock,
Yeah.
picked you up, and he gave you two options.
2 options, yeah. Super, super important life choice, and it was to be a stripper. That was option A, and then B was to be a fighter.
So either way, you were going to do really good.
Yeah. When you saw the picture, I was
did.
huge, and I had crazy hair. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would have I'd probably been the greatest stripper if I'd applied myself.
Yes.
But it wasn't that dream. That dream was that thing, and so I said no, and I went to the gym.
And you literally went to the gym that day, right?
Like my dad dropped me off.
Yeah.
Like right out of a movie, basically said, never give up and don't show them you're scared. And then he drove.
Wow.
And I walked in there, they just beat the hell out of me.
Wow.
And then I never left. I literally never left. I committed my entire life, 16 years of my life, to just trying to become the best. And then that became moving the sport forward, and that became putting it on television, and that became creating a league, and then
And you really pioneered that whole thing,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
from the
how old were
beginning.
you when because that's unusual too to start. You started at what age?
22.
22.
Yeah.
And then you won your first championship.
Within like 2 years, year and a
Yeah.
half, 2 years.
I mean,
yeah,
that's-
no, I was, you know what it was? I was a super nerd. I spent my whole life reading books, and I spent my whole life in my head. And suddenly this physical and social and like career thing came along. And it's like, I truly believe, I screwed my whole life up. And I truly believe that this martial arts thing and this, this culture would save me and like provide for me. Because I had, I had family and stuff. And there was
Yes.
nothing I could do for them. I knew that. I never had a dad, ever. So
Yeah.
I never had support or guidance and I, in my soul, like the last thing I ever wanted to be was that guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
If I got to
yeah.
fight in a cage, if I got to, whatever we got to do,
Wow.
like we got to change that. You know what I mean? Because I was sitting in prison going, oh my God, I just screwed up my whole life. And I screwed up my son's life. And it's like, it's time for me to take responsibility and move forward. And it's like cage fighting, stripping. I was going to do one of them, and maybe both. But luckily, for God took me down that path.
And I've seen some of your fights and I've heard some of your stories. I mean, the mental strength, since you were a child, obviously developing, but to do this cage fighting, like it's insane.
crazy.
Like you had to go in every fight like you were going to die, right? Almost. Mentally.
Yeah, I changed my mindset, and it's what made me super successful. And, a lot of it was I had already faced my death a few times. When I was 16, I almost froze to death, and I got hypothermia, and I laid there, and I was like, I'm going to die.
Wow.
And then I got up, and I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to die. So I know where that moment is, and I faced it a few times. And most people will never face it. They just look away the whole time until it comes and changes their lives. So for me, I've been there. I went to prison. I faced, I fought.
Yeah.
I survived. So I knew I could commit my life to it. And I knew, yeah, I might die, I might not die, but it's like I would be on this journey of success on the way. So I literally, every time I went in there, I was like, you know, pray the family, everything's cared for. I'm gonna go give my life as a warrior. And if someone should best me, then it's over. Like you know, the warrior's over, the journey's over. But you know, nobody shows up with that intention, Jesse. Everybody's like, well, you know, I got this and I got that. And that's why I could overcome everybody, is I was all in. You know, they were going to have to kill me. And nobody, you know, very few people go there and hang out there.
Yeah.
Because it's scary.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I did for a long time.
It's almost like you were bred, though, to do that
Yeah.
because of the way you're.
I think, you know, all that stuff that happened to me made my mind a certain way.
Yes.
It made my mind so strong. And so, you know, I see it, if I believe it, it comes true. Like I can literally create it with my mind.
Yes.
And that's where I think, you know, all that bad stuff, it in some ways it was a blessing because it built up this machine that I can literally overcome anything, accomplish anything, create anything. And that's where the plus minus equal thing came from.
Yes.
You know, I just started realizing I had all this knowledge and information, and I was trying to simplify it so people could, you know, use it and understand it without going through that terrible, terrifying journey
Yes.
and all the other experiences that were needed to create, you know, that system.
So will you share what that actually is, the
For sure.
plus minus
Yeah.
equal?
Yeah, the plus minus equal is a very simple, accomplish anything, fix anything, live the life you want, anything system. And it's really about personal development, social development, and growing as a human being. And it works like this. Your plus is the one at the top, and that's the person that you want to become, or the person that has what you have. I would love to have your flexibility and your chi and your yoga understanding and all that stuff. And for that, you're my plus, because I can train for years and years and years, and I will get 1/10 of that. And you could give that to me. Do you know what I mean? So I see, you know, all this thing, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll be your student. So when you find your plus, you show up and you be a student, and they will teach you if you present yourself properly.
Yes.
You know, if you're real about it. Here's the example. I sold a movie. I just sold a movie to Showtime. I don't know anything about selling movies, but I called the guy who sold 150 movies. I said, Jim, let me take you to lunch. Let's talk about this. He told me everything I needed to know. I sought out my plus. I went and sold a movie, and I competed as an equal in the marketplace, knowing nothing about movie selling. That's the plus
Yes.
minus equal. Your equals are the people you compete against. So the people in my space, the public speakers, the leaders, the motivational people, I'm watching all of them. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know, how do I compete? How do I best them? How do I partner with them? How can I make myself conscious of where the industry standard is and then do better? And so that's my plus equal. And then the minus is the people that need stuff. There's always people coming, searching, looking, showing up for knowledge, humbling themselves. And when you accept that role as a teacher, or conversely, when you show up as a minus, and you humble yourself to learn something,
Yes.
you create such a powerful circle of just progress. And, you know, as you accept them roles, you realize the value of them. And to me, the most important person is the minus, not the plus. Because this layer is the one that grows the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. And so for me, it's always about being a teacher, being a competitor, and then being a student. And how can I connect all of that? And that's been the core to my success. I am no smarter, or I might be tougher than other people, but like
You're definitely tougher.
I'm less emotionally stable than
Yeah.
the rest of the world. Like there's nothing special about me, except for I've got really good mechanics, and I show up, you know, all in with my honesty.
Yes.
And people go, wow, he's all in. Either we like him or
Absolutely.
we don't. And if they don't like me, they tell me to leave. And if they do, then we join together and we go off on a journey together.
I love that, though. I always say forever a humble student. There's always something to learn. And you're talking about the movie because I know you're an advocate of mental health from your childhood, and I also believe from fighting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that what the movie, is that the movie you're talking about?
Yeah, it's actually on one of my clients, and it's about, he's bipolar. He's got bipolar disorder, and you know, he's huge struggle with his mental health every day. But he's been doing it for 35 years, and he's now one of the biggest broadcasters on the planet. And he has 3 major network contracts, and he's bipolar. Like he's crazy.
Wow.
And we care for him, but we've created a whole lifestyle and system that he can just kill it and be amazing. And it's like we've been tracking him for 7.5 years to show this journey. Because everyone, you know, 20 years ago was like, well, just put him in a hospital and he'll be fine, and we're sorry. And you know, everyone was going to write him off.
Yes.
And and just with a little bit of support and a little bit of education and direction and experimentation, he's literally at the top of this game. And we're selling a movie about his journey. And it's like, and he's been so brave to open the door and show what it's really like to, you know, march that path and be bipolar and to live with that. And it's just, it's such a powerful film.
I think the timing is perfect too. I mean, with everything that's going on. And I think mental health is, you know, it's an invisible disease. So I think bringing awareness to it.
And there's so much stigma out there still.
Yes.
And it's in corporations, it's in schools, it's just the
Yes.
education of it. And there was a time in society when these people were special. And there's still some cultures where these people are special and they're gifted and they're seasayers and they're, you know, they're visionaries.
Oh, I love that.
Right? In some cultures and in many cultures, these are the touched ones. They have the gift. In our culture, they're the ones that we don't know what to do with because they're too much.
Yeah.
They're out of sync.
Yes.
But when you empower these amazing creatures, like, they're extraordinary.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think every person, and that is the takeaway from the film for me, I think everybody has tremendous value in this universe, and we're all literally connected. So anybody that
Absolutely.
disconnects, anybody that's not performing their best, anybody that's living in disease or health, and that's why I love, you know, this chi. It's like, anybody who's not doing that, you know, we got to help them, because the whole thing is, you know, we're all connected.
We're all connected.
So that's why, yeah, I really appreciate you bringing me out. And
Of
I just love
course.
hanging out with you. And anytime
Oh
we're
my
doing
God.
yoga, I'm like 1,000%. And by the way,
We have
and every
the
time I
best.
leave, I'm like this, oh, my poor body, what has happened to me?
No, it's not true. I want to wrap it up, and I want to ask you one last question. What I'm going to ask everybody is, if you could share one of your golden secrets, whether it's something you do every day or one thing in your life that you feel like has really helped you get to where you are right now, what would it be?
Wow. I dream. I dream big. And I support those dreams with meditation and being very present in my life, so those dreams come true. And that's my thing. I come up with the craziest.
That's huge.
I'm like, we're gonna do this. And people are like, that's insane. I'm like, oh yeah. And then we go do it, because for some reason because of that journey, I'm in a place where I feel things, and I go, that's something we should do. And so, like, I dream big.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
you do. Obviously, you dream big. You've done, I mean, all your dreams have come true or are coming true. So I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And thank you so much for coming today and sharing your golden secrets.
My pleasure.